This new controller update will have you feeling elite. Is Xbox holding back gaming? Xbox is gearing up to take on Apple. Let's discuss. If you want to get your holiday shopping done early this season, check out the links down in my description because I have links to all sorts of stuff, games, consoles, accessories, you name it. And here to make sure that you are Xbox ready is Jimmy Champagne. So we got a lot to get into there. It's been a crazy news cycle in the video game industry. First of all, one of our predictions came true, actually. It actually came true. We sat here months ago and been like, wouldn't it be crazy if they added the Elite Series 2 to the design lab? And lo and behold, they have done exactly that. You can now customize an Elite Series 2 controller. I was especially impressed with the ability to change the back paddle colors to match the kind of vibe that you're going for.
I like that you can change the little ring around the sticks. That look cool. It reminded me of the Aya Neo Air, and it'd be sweet if they also had the LED effect in there that the Aya has, because that's like a really cool looking little effect. Obviously takes up battery, but I don't know how much battery.
It does look cool, and you can also change the emblem on your carrying case if you choose to buy that too. So if you want your carrying case to match your controller, got a little like design synergy there that, again, I was pretty impressed by.
I'm gonna have to make one of these because the handles are black, and then I can make the middle orange, and it'd be like a Halloween edition controller.
Boom! The world's colliding, bro. Jimmy Champagne's horror channel with his gaming addiction.
Everything in black and orange is how I roll.
I want to say that they offer a wider range of the YBXA buttons when it comes to colors and options with that. You can change the color of the bumpers, the triggers, the back plate if you want it different from the front plate. So all that is still there from where you can design just a regular series controller.
What's the price?
Well, I'm glad that you asked.
Because it's like
about
what, like 120 for the white controller or 130?
Yeah, 130 for the white controller.
Okay.
And if you want the full Elite Series experience, you spend $189.99. If you want the charging case and all the, other doohickeys that come along with it. So for this one, if you want just the controller, like you were saying with the Elite Series Core, it starts at $150. Yeah.
That's not bad. That's like, what, $20 increase?
And if you want all the extra components added onto that, they will go up to about $209, so, which is, again, like a $20 increase from the $190 price.
That makes it more expensive than the DualSense Edge.
Oh, I thought it was the same price as the DualSense
$9 more. $9 more.
Oh my God. Me personally, this is a pretty cool addition. If you're going to spring for an Elite controller anyway, I feel like 20 extra bucks to put your own custom kind of personal touch on it is, it's not really that much of a game breaker, I feel like.
Yeah, honestly, I might do this because, as I've mentioned on the show before, my Elite Series 2 controllers just basically stopped working after a while, and we got mixed reports on this new white one, but I've heard it is a little better.
I like my white one, man. I use it every day, and I'm
assuming that's the basis for this design lab version, not the black old crappy edition that's in the gutter crying and alone.
Well, see, that's so crazy because there will be people who have been like, I had no issues whatsoever, not even like a little blip. And then you'll have people like Jimmy who are like, I went through a couple of them. So it's just like,
and I'm not like hard on I play Destiny 2. Like, it's not the most hardcore game, and I don't even play competitive. I don't play Crucible. I'm just doing raids and dungeons and
so I've been having a good time with my Elite Series Core. I've gotten so used to playing on a Pro controller with the Elite Series 2. When I go back to a regular controller, I'm like, getting adjusted to, operating everything on the front faceplate rather than having those back paddles. I'm like, oh God, I suddenly
I'm rocking my Vecna Edition Xbox Series controller. That's my main PC one.
If you're not interested in customizing your own Elite Series 2 controller and you want to just buy the white one that they came out with, we'll have the link for that down in the description below. For all my comic book lovers out there, I have an amazing new story for you. Biopunks, written by my good friend Royce, who edits a lot of the Xbox Ready and PS Ready videos. Here he is to tell you all about it.
It's about 3 characters who all have physical differences that they have altered through this thing here called the spinal core. No, this is not cyberpunk. This is my idea. I've been working on it since 2017, okay? So you guys know. They're being hunted down by this evil force who wants to harness the source of their power, the spinal core, and so they have to band together, team up to fight this guy and take him down. And this is my second book, Legend of Althea, about a girl named Althea who gets the power to heal people after getting an artificial heart transplant. And she'll have to learn to develop her powers in order to save her dad from a terminal illness, all while being hunted down by this notorious street gang called the Wolfpack, who's looking to harness her powers for their own nefarious purposes. You can and should buy these comics on my website, stoneharborcomics.com, and you can follow me on Instagram and TikTok at stoneharborcomics.
Next up, we got to talk about Apple yet again. Last week, we came here and we talked about how Apple Music was being added to the Xbox dashboard, being added to Xbox consoles. Word on the street is that Xbox, Microsoft, they're going to be developing their own mobile storefront for their games, much like the Google Play Store, much like the App Store on iOS. We know that because of this Activision Blizzard deal, that they're very interested in getting into the mobile gaming space.
It seems like everyone is. I mean, you've got like Rainbow Six Mobile now, you've got Call of Duty Mobile, you got Warzone Mobile, they have Apex Legends Mobile, Diablo Immortal. There's a lot of like AAA, quote unquote, mobile games coming out now. And there's apparently a lot of money there, which is why I get why they're doing this. The question I have is, if they can't get Apple to let them have the cloud streaming app that lets you play the Xbox games you bought or like buy games through the app, how are they going to get Apple allow them to put their store on the App Store?
Right, that is the big question, because we know that because of Apple's dominance in the mobile gaming space, they don't want a cloud gaming app, native app on, Apple iOS devices.
And doesn't a store seem worse? Like,
and
I guess
a store is 100% worse. You have the cloud gaming app, so it's a little bit deceptive, but it's really just a shortcut to xbox.com/play. So it's like, how are they going to get this onto one of the major mobile gaming platforms if they can't even get like an Xbox Game Pass, Xbox Cloud Gaming app onto Apple devices?
The only difference I see is that with the cloud gaming app, you would go on your Xbox theoretically and buy the game, or you'd go on your PC and buy the game. But if they're making like a whole new like storefront type app, like a hub for mobile games, you'll have to buy the games through Apple's services, which means Apple gets a percentage of the profits, which isn't guaranteed with the cloud streaming. So I can kind of see it there, but still Apple's going to be like, why don't you just put these games on the App Store?
That's the other thing, because then they would have to adhere to Apple's like in-game purchase structure and financial structure. And this is something we talked about previously on the channel. They were detailing plans of what was to become this Microsoft mobile store, and they were saying that they had these grand plans to give developers like free reign of how they charge for in-game purchases, and how they handle the financial aspect of it, the live service aspect of it, which from my understanding on the App Store is a little bit more strict. Xbox wants to get into the mobile gaming space because of the money. A lot of you are traditional console gamers like me and Jimmy, or you play on PC or something like that. The truth is that the revenue generated from mobile gaming is like way beyond anything that just console gaming
because it's like
generates.
The most deceptive style of game possible. It's like literally games that are made to
make money,
to encourage kids to spend their parents' money. I guess I kind of get why they want to get into the mobile space. They can see Sony doing it, right? Like Sony just bought a studio called Savage Studios that they're going to have make live service mobile games, which is cool, I guess. I'm not really into that whole thing just because of Diablo Immortal. Diablo Immortal pushed the bar so far in the wrong direction that all these other developers now can make a game that's half as bad and say, see, it's not as bad as Diablo Immortal, but it's still going to be pretty egregious with its monetization, which I'm not super into that.
At the end of the day, Microsoft is fighting an uphill battle with this, not only on getting this thing onto iOS, but just breaking into the mobile gaming market in general. Like I said, it's really only two people.
I don't know.
The prospect is kind of intriguing to me. It's like, okay, bringing a console level game to a mobile experience, that's pretty cool. Or you can look at it the other way, like the mobile experience is going to cheapen and water down what we know and love about console and PC gaming. So we don't really know how it's going to shake out. We do kind of know that a lot of this mobile game store that Microsoft is working on is going to depend a whole lot on how the Activision Blizzard deal shakes out and whether or not it gets approved, because that also includes King, who are the makers of Candy Crush, of course, and that would give them a huge leg up to at least maybe not like totally disrupt the market, but actually like do decently well.
It's weird to think about because I don't think Apple's ever going to allow them to have a storefront where you can buy games. They're gonna have to do a lot of work to convince Apple that it's like monetizably feasible for Apple.
Moving on, the Series S is under fire yet again. I mean, I feel like our poor little Series S just cannot catch a break when it comes from gaming Twitter. So I talked about this in a previous video. There was a guy from Rocksteady who I guess was a character designer or a character concept designer or something, who infamously went on a Twitter rant, which included comments saying the Series S is a potato, it sucks, and then eventually he deleted his Twitter account.
This is the most contentious. It was Rocksteady. It wasn't WB Montreal.
It was Rocksteady.
Oh, because the people at WB Montreal love going on rants too.
It's like, I don't know.
Going crazy on Twitter.
If you work in the field, I don't think it's a great idea to go on rants just in general. Even if
He deleted his whole Twitter account?
He deleted his whole Twitter. It's still, you can't find his comments anymore. You can't find his accounts anymore.
like,
He went on this rant and literally just said peace out. I'm sure he got into like a series of arguments and stuff, and it got out of hand, and he was just like, you know what, whatever. But more recently, this journalist came out and he was saying, I don't think this whole argument, this whole line of thought that the Series S is holding back gaming, I don't think that argument holds up. And then this VFX artist came out and said like, boo, actually, I work in game development. He was saying it's not so much of the, the GPU and the processing power, but the memory constraints is what he was saying is kind of a pain in the ass. It's been a strange situation, and apparently this guy works on the team that developed Surgeon Simulator. Is
that was
the
a
game
good
that
phone game, dude. I used to play that in class all the time.
A good phone game.
I beat it.
And apparently this guy is part of the team that worked on I Am a Fish. I'm a Fish. Did you play that? Did you hear about this? Did you read about it?
I played their game, I Am Bread.
I Am Bread, yeah.
Yeah, same developer.
I Am Bread.
Same developer.
Pretty good. He quote says, it might sound broken, but the reason you are hearing it a lot right now is because many, all caps, many developers have been sitting in meetings for the past year, desperately trying to get Series S launch requirements dropped. Studios have been through one development cycle where Series S turned out to be an albatross around the neck of production. And now that games are firmly being developed with new consoles in mind, teams do not want to repeat the process.
That makes sense mainly because it's like if Sony was saying, hey, Capcom, you're making Resident Evil 4 Remake. If you want to release that game on our platform, you have to support the PS4 Pro. Because I know the Series S is more powerful than the One X or the PS4 Pro, but it's not that much more powerful. So they're basically like forcing you to develop for a last gen console that they're calling current gen. Yeah. So like I kind of get it. And also I'm like, anything we can do to get games that actually feel next gen on our current gen machines, let's do it.
I'm not entirely convinced, because every time someone comes out and takes a dookie on the Series S, being like, we saw it with Dying Light 2, we saw it when Cyberpunk released the next gen patch, everyone is constantly blaming the Series S, and then a couple of months later they'll be like, just kidding, we got 60 frames per second.
And it's like you just listed two games that were like famously broken upon launch. Like very buggy games. It's like that feels like a cop out for you guys just not wanting to finish the game.
And then, but more recently, Gotham Knights, it's only 30 FPS on consoles, and everyone came out and said, it's the Series S's fault. But then you start hearing about these other reviews, and you were just telling me off camera about those guys who reviewed the game that were playing on like a 3080 Ti.
Yeah, it was PC Gamer. I think they said a 3080 Ti, an i9, and like 32 or 64 gigs of RAM. Like basically one of the best computers you can have right now, and they could not get a locked 60 frames per second out of this game.
And resolution was like, I've been reading elsewhere about Gotham Knights about people having pretty decent setups who can only get like 1080p max resolution.
That's insane.
So it's like, I still question, like, is it a Series S problem, or is this like another development problem where they couldn't optimize the game? And by the way, Gotham Knights doesn't really look all that amazing.
If it looked like real life, I would get it. But it's like it's a major graphical step down from everything I've seen from Arkham Knight, which came out in 2015. Like that's nuts.
I've been playing Plague Tale Requiem, and that game looks really good. It's not 60 FPS. You can get up to 40 if you have this certain monitor.
Yeah, 120
or TV.
hertz.
I'm willing to forgive it because the game itself looks really good. I mean, it's a greatly designed world and game. I appreciate how they finally got like the hair physics right. It's like the hair looks good in that game, which is like in other games, it's like, I don't know about this. First party games, I feel like the Series S will hold up just fine over the course of this generation. Third party games, I'm not so sure. Hopefully they figure something out, because like you said, they've sold a ton of Series S's. It fulfills a specific purpose, and it's good at doing that.
Well, they could always just take the requirement off and do what they're doing with the Xbox One and say, hey, if you want to play the latest and greatest Xbox Series games, you can stream them. See how people react to that. I would assume poorly.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because you're going to love this next topic.
Oh boy, I already read it. I'm so excited.
As part of these
Made my
legal
week.
proceedings for Activision Blizzard, their acquisition, Xbox is kind of getting a little crafty with it. They're saying, okay, well, we're not like the market leader in console or PC gaming. And cloud gaming is in its infancy, is what is the headline for this Washington Post article. They say the company called cloud gaming immature and unproven in a dense, tidbit-rich filing as part of the latest effort to push through a $68.7 billion deal to acquire video game maker Activision Blizzard pending regulatory approval. And I know you just been waiting in the wings for a story like this to go, aha, I told you so, blah, blah, blah.
It's so obvious that they just like are pushing it because it's the one thing that they can really focus on right now, and that makes them different from Sony. And I don't like think that's a problem or anything. I just think we're not at the point yet where it's smart to really push it this hard. But I get why they feel like they have to, because they got to get in early, and that's what's going to help them out in the long run.
I mean, I don't think they were really pushing it as like, this is the thing right now. It was always meant as like an option. Play anywhere, play how you like. They don't even like, it comes bundled in your Xbox Game Pass subscription. So it's like not even any cost
That's
to
how it should always
consumers,
be.
you know? So it'd be different if they were like, okay, subscribe to like a different cloud gaming service. It'd be different if it was like, this is the only option to play games. But for me personally, it's always just felt like, you know, a supplemental thing. And I do think it has potential. I do think it has, you know, some very interesting uses. Like when you can play a game on the cloud on Game Pass before you download it to see if you liked it before. I think that's really cool. Because one of the CMA and Sony's arguments right now is that Microsoft's going to use the Activision Blizzard catalog of games to have complete dominance in the cloud gaming space. So this is Microsoft's way of saying, no, we're not. No, we're not. We're just a little old Microsoft.
Yeah, I also love Microsoft's argument where they're like, oh, you know, Call of Duty Vanguard sales were kind of soft. You know, this franchise could fail at any moment. It's like any franchise can fail at any moment, guys. But like Call of Duty needs to catastrophically, like unbelievably fail to really make that franchise less valuable.
Yeah, Vanguard by Call of Duty standards was sort of a flop, but it still made like a ton of money.
Yeah,
and
like I
people
still see people
playing
playing it on TikTok all the time. So
all things considered, Xbox cloud gaming is only a couple of years old at this point, so, and it's technically still in beta. Not at the place where I would buy a dedicated handheld console to just stream games, probably, especially when there are other options out there like the Steam Deck. You know, I try not to do the console war stuff, but it's quickly divulging into a Sony versus Xbox thing. People are spending all day fighting over it on Twitter. I feel like it's going to be a lot more trouble if this deal doesn't go through versus if it does go through. I don't know how cloud gaming is going to look after this deal goes through. I don't know how, you know, their space in the console universe is going to look, or in the PC. But at this point, I'm getting tired of the news cycle. Just let it go through, or give us a definite answer of like, no, it's not going through.